The Internal Revenue Service has a new strategy to move toward going paperless. A new digitization and modernization pilot project are part of that process. Justin Abold-Labreche and Harrison Smith are co-directors of the Enterprise Digitalization and Case Management Office at the IRS. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for coming on the program. What do you want to take on, Harrison, as you are working on these issues? Are you looking primarily internally within the agency or externally regarding the people that do business with the IRS?
First, Francis, thanks for having us here this morning. But I think it's really a combination, right? We do our best to balance the issues around really performing and making changes and improving the processes on where we engage directly with the taxpayer. But there are also ways that we can become more efficient and increase access to digital data within the IRS that may not be so immediately available or immediately obvious to the taxpayer. But in order to really get that broader view, that 360-degree view of the taxpayer, as we talk about internally, we need access to that information, right? And so not all of those processes may necessarily be immediately obvious to the taxpayer. Whereas, for instance, allowing forms to be submitted digitally as opposed to in hard copy, or allowing different types of digital signatures to be received. Those are the things that are really a little bit more obvious to the taxpayer. But again, that quote-unquote back office work really does help us move ahead in the broader scheme of things.
Justin, welcome. Your colleague Mitch Winan said recently that you're going to be maintaining a test and learn approach. What does that look like, and where do you think those tests will start?
Well, great question. I think the key message here is that this is a learning opportunity all along the way. We want to take off small increments of value and be able to ensure that we're at the right place at the right time, and it's really impacting the customer in the way that we expect and that the customer wants. And so from a case management perspective, that means we're modernizing business processes before we move them into our new platform. We're taking advantage of the new technology to make certain that this process, as it comes over into the new platform, really is going to have that high quality, first class customer experience each step of the way.
Justin, for a long time, the focus of discussion around changing processes at the IRS revolved around IT modernization. Lots of discussion, lots of it warranted about the state of the information technology plant at the agency. I now see digitization in the name of your organization, and it strikes me that's a step ahead just in what you're calling this and what your goal is. Is that a fair read on my part?
Well, I think the IRS has a really strong IRS modernization plan overall. We're starting from a great foundation, and what Harrison's in my office does is it really accelerates that. It lets us spearhead the efforts that drive us toward the taxpayer first act. Harrison, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think we really work with our partners in IT to expand on those efforts and really highlight, again, the digitalization perspective. This means quite a few things to quite a few different people, right? We want to make sure that we are able to reduce the amount of paper that we handle while still supporting the needs of taxpayers to file in hard copy where they need to. But accessing and valuing that information clearly does have to do with our IT partners. But it's worth noting that it's not just the technology aspect of things, right? Justin already mentioned about business process efforts, right? We really need to work at, let's not look at taking a new technology tool approach to a process that could be optimized as well. And there's also a look at our policies, right? Do we need to take a different look at how we receive paper, how we store paper, right? There are some instances in which we have an approach to storing paper for decades, several decades. And is that necessary? Is that a paper conversation? Is that a digital conversation? And how do we manage those? So it really is a very broad and nuanced conversation.
What do you think the coordination effort will look like, Harrison, across the agency if you're involving everybody in the business processes and it's not just an acquisition or IT modernization effort? You're going to have everybody involved, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that, especially from my perspective, going into a large business and international or wage and investment, really understanding, hey, these are the experts, right? These are the folks who do this on an ongoing basis, and we need to engage with them. Because over the years or over the time that they've worked at a particular office, they've seen things that may be able to be pursued in a slightly different manner. And we want to really leverage that expertise. Commissioner Reddick is very fond of saying, and Justin and I agree with him wholeheartedly, that the single best asset and the single largest asset that the IRS has is its people. And so leveraging their expertise and leveraging their passion to support the American taxpayer and the mission of the IRS is really what we're working to do.
In this type of a modernization effort, Justin, I imagine you're going to be using an agile approach. How will you judge at each stage that you've been successful and that you want to move forward, or that you maybe need to step back for a moment and rethink what you've done, try something differently?
I think the beauty of using an agile process like this is that each step of the way our end customers are involved with us. So Harrison was talking about large business and W9. We truly are reaching out across the organization. And so as we do this, those end users are involved in the modernization journey. So frontline employee involved, telling us what works today for them, what isn't working. In places where it makes sense, reaching out to our external stakeholders, getting external input, what works today, what isn't working today. So on the design side, that voice is front and center, right? That's the heart of Agile, is the design voice is the customer. And the customer for us is both our employees and the taxpayers. And then as we move through the development stage and configuring it and deploying it, that end user keeps with us. They stay with us on this journey. And so every 2 weeks as we sprint, we're iterating that back with the customer. Are we building what you thought we were going to build? And that's a great chance to course correct along the way. And so all of this is built in from the start, really, the voice of the customer, and then looking at it, are we building something that works? Is it going to make your job easier? Is it going to make the taxpayer experience better? Is it going to be faster cycle time, faster responses, better quality of response and experience? We have those checkpoints built in, just like you said, so we can pull up and say, okay, is this working the way we expected? And if it isn't, we can course correct, and we can course correct quickly, cheaply, and efficiently.
Justin, Harrison, thanks very much for joining me today. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.